Okay, thank you everybody for joining us today. We're going to do a talk about the problems and challenges and opportunities in small uncrewed systems. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge people dialed in on the WebEx. So we're aware today that there's a number of our SMEs that we speak to from across the world dialed in today. So if you're dialing in from an unusual time zone, thank you very much for doing that. And also, I wanted to just say hello to our colleagues in Defence Battle Lab in Dorset. So this talk's being streamed into the Battle Lab today, and I think it's really good that a new initiative for technology and innovation is able to link up with our talk today, and I think there's an obvious synergy there, and really good to be speaking to not only the people here today, but also that wider network that we have. So by way of introduction, I'm Jonny Gilchrist. I'm the campaign executive for our Small Uncrewed Systems team out of BAE Systems Digital Intelligence, and I just want to introduce my colleague Carl.
Yeah, I'm Carl Haigh. I'm the SUS capability lead, part of digital intelligence at BAE Systems.
Thanks, Carl. And Caroline from UST.
Yeah, I'm Caroline. I'm CEO of Unmanned Systems Technology.com, which is a platform that showcases suppliers and innovators in uncrewed systems.
Thanks, Caroline. Okay, so today's talk really is going to give a bit of an introduction to our Small Uncrewed Systems team. And then, as I said at the start, we're going to have a bit of a delve into the opportunities and challenges that we see in this space and how our team is set up to face those challenges and to tackle those challenges. And towards the end of the talk, Caroline's going to give a view from an SME's perspective of what those challenges and opportunities are and how BAE Systems as a prime contractor can really help SMEs to tackle those challenges that we talk about today. Carl?
Yeah, so the first thing we'd like to cover is to place a little bit of context on what the team's for and why it started and why it even exists. And it's been evident throughout the civilian industry, and especially now it's starting to span into the military industry, that small drones seem to make a difference. And it seems to be the ability to drive a real-time instant picture direct to somebody. And it seems to be that it's over persistent. So the senior, more capable RPAS systems that will fly higher for longer and have fantastic capabilities, but there's not many of them. So if you can give 1,000 people with their own eyes, instead of just one set of eyes and 1,000 people looking at it. And to put that into a slightly more context of us at Digital Intelligence, it's that data, and it's that data feed of how do we get that to all of the people who need to see it. And the key decision makers, it's all good and well looking at a feed that's directly in front of you to get something that you want to see, but if you're not making the decision on that feed, then there's no point in being there. And that is our vision at Digital Intelligence, is that we can gather these feeds together from these multiple platforms and send them to the decision maker to make that decision that's needed.
Thanks, Carl. So we're going to talk about the three main foundations to the setup of our Small Uncrewed Systems team. And that bit of context, I think, links in quite nicely with our first foundation, and it's around digital advantage. We see digital advantage as key to unlocking the small uncrewed systems picture, certainly for our customers, and actually that's why our Small Uncrewed Systems team is born out of our digital intelligence C5ISR business. Because actually what we're doing within that business is placing a digital advantage at the forefront of our capabilities and actually helping our customers to unlock that connected threat landscape and to place data and digital intelligence first.
Yeah, the second pillar of our foundations that we've built on is investing in expertise. And it might seem quite obvious that the best people to build a car are those people who drive cars. The best people to build aeroplanes are those people who build aeroplanes. We've taken pretty much the same analogy. Those people who fly MUAS, UASs, unmanned systems, who better to help develop the next stage of unmanned systems than those that have done it for so long. So we've invested a lot, and over 40% of our team is made up of ex-military operators. And they range from, and I'm included in that myself, and they range from junior soldiers all the way through to the most senior instructors and experts in that field. Those coupled with our already existing experts that we have at Digital Intelligence can pull all this together to find these challenges that we already know exist, and we can conquer these challenges utilizing the expertise of our users, knowing exactly what it was that the customer wants and how we can achieve that, and how we pull all that together using these already existing engineers. And what we have gives us an absolute clear vision of what capability is needed and how do we achieve that and the footfalls that will be with it. And we'll go into that in more detail when we start conquering the challenges shortly.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. And I think that leads on quite nicely into our final foundation around our team. So Carl's spoken there about our internal collaboration, but actually one of our key foundations to what we're doing with our Small Uncrewed Systems team is collaborating externally. And one of the things that we're placing at the heart of our team is championing SME capability and championing SMEs. One of the things that I'm very conscious of is that's something that's very easy to say, and actually will be judged by our actions with our SMEs rather than our words on that topic. So I think across the course of this week, we've seen BAE Systems as a group and our sort of aptitude and ability to tackle SME challenges. So on Monday, the Helios portal was launched on this stage, which is a great initiative to help SMEs. Later on this afternoon, our FCAS colleagues are going to be talking about their vision for SMEs going forward. And I think it's quite a nice synergy that within our Small Uncrewed Systems team, it's a key identifier for us that we want to do and we want to tackle. And that's to give SMEs a voice. And hopefully through some of the opportunities and challenges we're about to touch on in a moment, you can start to see how we're going to start to deliver on some of those promises. Carl?
Yeah, that's right, Jonny. Yeah. So moving on to the bulk of today's presentation, which was the challenges and the opportunities that we see. And I'm sure they're far-reaching, and there'll be many challenges that we haven't seen and some that we've already found. But to make it slightly more simpler, we've only selected 3. So you'll be happy to know, I'm sure. So we're going to run through 3 of our challenges first, the most pertinent ones that myself, Jonny, and the team down at the SUS team at Digital Intelligence see, how we get them forward and what we move on. And they span from 3 main issues or 3 main themes that we're going around here, and it's security, regulations, and SMEs. And you'll see us float back to the word of SMEs throughout this whole presentation, and it will all become apparent as we move forward. So we'll look at elaborating each one of those in turn and add a little bit more detail to what we see the challenges are in those sectors.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one that we want to talk about is security. And that links back to our first foundation around our Uncrewed Systems team being placed within digital intelligence. So one of the things that we're seeing in terms of contextual challenge in the markets at the moment is around interoperability. And how do you deliver an interoperability that is secure? Now, I don't think there's probably a capability provider of anything to do with Small Uncrewed Systems that basically doesn't already work or collaborate in some aspect with some other companies. But actually what we're seeing now as a contextual challenge is how do you deliver that interoperability securely, and how do you make sure that that capability advantage isn't handed over to adversaries that you don't want to hand that capability advantage to. And that's why within our team in digital intelligence, it goes back to that first foundation about that sort of security of the data and being able to work with SMEs to deliver their capability, but deliver it in a way that is secure for our customers and provides them with a capability advantage.
Yeah, and the second one for us is regulation, and I look around the room, not in the hope that there's no CAA or MAA here, but I mean, this is not a bad word against them, far from it. But regulation issues is always going to be key in the UAS domain. The technology is far, far advancing faster than any type of regulations can keep up with. And we've seen that on numerous things. And the simplest result from that will be that the system is far more capable than it's allowed to be. And we've seen that on many platforms, and be it manned, unmanned, loads of platforms where the regulation just can't keep up. One of our key challenges here is to assist the regulators in getting this regulations to maximize its capability to our customers as soon as possible. The more we can do that, we don't have capability gaps. The faster we do that, we can get this capability out to our customers sooner than better. And it will lead on to a whole generation of capability that we can bleed out to our customers to say, this is what it should do, and this is what it does. As opposed to, this is what it should do. At the minute, it can only do this, but in time, it will do this. So it's assisting our regulations, and we're going to do that through a number of things, and it will be mainly stemmed in and around giving them assistance, provence, and assurance to say that what we're picking here is, and what we're bringing forward is already regulated, it already works, and it's already proven. It's going to speed up the process, and it will deliver that capability almost instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that regulatory challenge is one that links in quite nicely with our final challenge that we identified, and that's around thinking small, and obviously with the capability there of Small Uncrewed Systems, but in general, thinking small but delivering big. We, as we've said with our final foundation of the team, around that championing of SMEs, we recognise that some of these regulatory challenges can be a real barrier for SMEs to getting capability into the hands of customers. the other challenge there is that the small uncrewed systems market is quite saturated. So I think we can use our spheres of influence as a big prime integrator to champion some technologies and place those technologies and platforms into the hands of our customers and give that capability spotlight to some people who may struggle to do that. Now, I think part of that is it's not just about BAE Systems using our platform, but it should also be about loaning that platform to SMEs to give SMEs a voice. And that's why we'll be really excited towards the end of the talk to hear from Caroline from UST, an SME that we're dealing with at the moment, to give her view, because I think it's really important that we loan our platform to SMEs and allow them to share the stage with us and tackle problems collaboratively.
Yeah, so that pretty much closes off our three main challenges that we see inside this domain, inside this area, and lightheartedly we'll move on to some opportunities. And again, I said it at the challenges, there will be far more opportunities inside this space, that ones we've not even realized yet. But as the technology advances, as equipment advances, and as our capability advances, these opportunities will just come to the forefront, and we can deal with that. So again, we've picked three, you'll be happy to know. The first one being the ecosystems, as Jonny's already alluded to. Caroline will give us a bit more of a brief into that later on of how we put that into place. Putting capability first and some cross-sector learning. And again, we'll elaborate on each one of those as we move on.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. So the first opportunity we wanted to touch on was that cross-sector learning. So it's something that we recognise, certainly in the small uncrewed systems space, is quite key. There's a lot of really innovative technologies out there in parallel sectors and in other areas of sort of the wider market space. So I take a really good example of agriculture. So there's extensive 3D mapping capability out in agriculture at the moment that's not yet been fully translated into a defence context. Where I think we're uniquely positioned to tackle that opportunity is where Carl was speaking before about the investment in expertise within our team. That ex-user translation of capability into a contextual operational requirement is really unique, because with Carl and the engineers that we have with that ex-user background, they're able to see some of these parallel technologies and go, actually, in this scenario, that's how it could work to give our customers an advantage. And I think that's a really key sort of capability there. Another sort of example of cross-sector learning is a bit of an exemplar that I see for wider small uncrewed systems, and that's around Formula One. So if you look at Formula One and sort of how they're set up and the challenges they have, it's a heavily regulated sector. There's a lot of SMEs involved in getting technologies to the line, and also they've got to understand data challenges in real time to provide an advantage. I think that could be quite a good exemplar for us in sort of uncrewed systems and across the sector to say, there are other industries doing this and that are tackling these challenges maybe before us that we can learn from, and we can use those industries to propel ourselves forward when we look to give this capability to our customers and understand a wider picture.
Yeah, and the second one is the putting capability first, and I say that quite broadly, but in simplest terms, what we're trying to get at here is that defence primes and SMEs all working together to better the capability, not one organisation trying to deliver a capability, because by doing it all together, it's just going to be better. And I'll apologise for reading my notes on here, but there's some key statistics that I would like to get out of proven things that we've done already. And two of that I'll draw on is one in the BAE Air Forum, in the Tempest programme. The heart of that is collaboration, and collaboration at scale. Putting that capability first, and BAE delivering on that capability with all these primes and all these people working together. And another one which has a couple of figures for you, which I'm sure you'll be happy with, is the Allied Carrier Alliance, which delivered HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales, done by our maritime sector. And some of the notes that I got, and I got these before I came on, is that it was 51 million man-hours, 10,000 people, 700 businesses and companies all working together to deliver a single capability. It's just overwhelming that the size that achieved to get those out there. And the 700 companies, 90% of those are all hailing from the UK. So with that in place, that is absolutely the key and the heart of what we want to achieve at C5ISR, at Digital Intelligence, and even more find down to what we want to achieve at our Small Uncrewed Systems team. We'll never close the door to somebody who can better the capability that we've already got, and that's exactly what we're here to do today.
Yeah, absolutely, and that leads quite nicely onto our final opportunity, and it's around that collaborative ecosystem. As Carl said, we absolutely want to hear from SMEs, from other defence primes who might want to collaborate around these small uncrewed systems to put a capability first. And I think that sort of collaborative ecosystem is quite notable already if you look into the sector. So myself and Caroline were in Exponential in Orlando a few months ago. And one of the things that struck me there is that the unmanned system, the uncrewed systems world is very interconnected already. There's a lot of SMEs sort of working together. There's some defence primes working with SMEs. And actually, what sits there is a real opportunity to further that collaboration and to actually drive that collaboration to an operational outcome. And that's where I think some of the threads that we've spoken through can really lead us to an exciting outcome here, because I think if we can really capture that collaborative ecosystem that already exists, but help it through our input to further that ecosystem, then I think what we'll end up with is a really exciting place and an exciting market for our customers to draw from.
So that pretty much draws our free challenges and our free opportunities to a close. And Caroline, and I'm sure you'll all be happy now that we'll switch over to Caroline in a second, so she can actually do some talking as well, instead of listening to me and Jonny all day. But it's probably become evident in all of our challenges and our opportunities is that linking defence primes with SMEs and using our platform as a prime to advance an SME's technology, because it will just make capability better. So I'll hand over to Caroline Rees, who's already introduced herself, to give us a little bit about UST and what it is that they do and how they fit inside this plan.
Thank you. So as the guys have already kind of mentioned, UnmannedSystemsTechnology.com it's a community of companies, many of which are SMEs, based all around the world. And what I'll do is just give you a little bit of background about UST and also a little bit about the feedback that we've had from some of the companies that we work with about the challenges that they face in trying to promote their solutions in uncrewed systems. Ourselves, we are an SME. We're based just down the road from these guys in Christchurch in Dorset, just coincidentally. But I co-founded the site with Mike 10 years ago, and he used to work at a small SME. It was an engineering firm developing electronics used in motorsport. And he actually identified, like you said, there is a crossover. And he saw unmanned systems as an opportunity. There's a shared requirement for lightweight, small, reliable components. So that they identified unmanned systems as a space they could move into. But there was no kind of way for them to do that. There was no platform or way that they could reach the companies they were trying to reach and kind of promote what they were doing. So that's where we came up with the idea for UST. And we essentially developed the site to promote SMEs, to give them a voice, as you've said, to help showcase what they're doing, the innovative technology that they're developing, and help them to actually put those solutions in front of companies that are looking for these capabilities. So as I say, that was more than 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, and we now have a community of over 200 companies that we work with. Our audience is now a global audience of suppliers, buyers, and researchers, and they use our site to stay up to date with what's happening in the industry and also to source solutions. And actually that's how our relationship with BAE Systems came about. The guys, the researchers and engineers at BAE use our site, they found our site, they were staying up to date with industry updates and trying to inform the work that they're doing, and came across our site and the companies that we work with, and that's how the relationship started. And our objective is to give SMEs a voice. It is to help them share the work they're doing, whether it's through their news and announcements or actually through the products that they're developing. And we're always finding ways of how we can get them in front of the right people. So actually being able to have an opportunity like this is great for us and for the companies that we work with, because it's something that's not really been done before. Some of the companies that we work with are SMEs. Some of them are just a couple of people that have developed something really innovative and a new technology. And while their technology is unquestionable, they sometimes struggle to know how to then market those products and how to actually get them in front of the right audience. And that can be a significant challenge for them. So that's where we step in, that's where we assist them, that's where we help them to reach that global audience. And following our collaboration that Jonny's mentioned earlier this year at Exponential, lots of our clients have given us feedback and commented on how getting in front of a prime like BAE Systems is a significant challenge, and the assistance that we provide in giving them that visibility is really essential. To be honest, pavilions like this can be intimidating for them. They may see it as invite only, they don't feel like they can come in, and then when they do get in, actually finding the right team or the right person to talk to can seem quite an overwhelming task. Even if they don't come to a trade show, using LinkedIn to find the right person, that can take some time. So actually using a company like us to kind of facilitate those conversations, to find the right person, that's where we sit and that's where we help them. In addition, some SMEs have given us feedback that they're skeptical about talking to primes like yourself. They've obviously developed their technology. Sharing details about their technology is something they only want to do if they're sure of what the intention is behind that company reaching out to them. Why do they want to learn about my technology? What are they going to do with it? And just, having a relationship where we're maybe making an introduction gives them the reassurance that actually it's, you're not trying to take their technology, you're trying to work together to further what you're doing and what they're doing. So that is genuine feedback that we've had from our clients following the work we did in the States. Being part of the UST community with sessions like this, it's given our clients access to a prime that they may not have had otherwise. And I don't think that opportunity has been there before. So they can make contact waiting for the prime to get in touch with them, but actually reaching out is kind of where they're now at and where they want to speak to people. So having a collaborative ecosystem where they can then reach out is something innovative. They've not had that before. And so what we're doing together, I think, is really important. And our SMEs that we work with have already told us that it is game changer. It's something that's not been done before, and it's a positive step forward for the industry. So I think kind of the perspective that we're from, we completely agree with you that collaboration is key to change perceptions of what it might be like working with a prime, what your objectives are as a prime, and in turn, that it will just help to move the industry forward, and it will support the SMEs that are actually developing the next generation of technology. They tend to be agile, they tend to be able to sort of look ahead, develop technology of the future, and if you can work with them on that, then it's a great step forward for the industry.
No, absolutely, thank you, Caroline. And I think it was a really interesting perspective to actually hear from an SME about that sort of that market space and how you feel the uncrewed systems community is viewing some of these challenges and opportunities. And I think that brings us nicely towards sort of the end of the conversation, really, around what you were saying of that accessibility. And that'll be sort of my closing message for people either in attendance or dialing in on the WebEx is our team is here to engage. We're here to have those conversations. And as I say, we can prove that through our actions as well as our words. But one of the good things about events like this is being able to put a few faces to names and to say, we are here, we're in the Small Uncrewed Systems team, and we're ready to collaborate and put our customer capability first. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening today. Myself, Carl, and Caroline will be around this area afterwards if people want further conversations. For those people dialed in on the WebEx, please get in contact if you want to have a conversation about anything you've heard today. And for our colleagues in Defence Battle Lab, we'll see you there soon. And thank you very much, everybody, for listening in today. And we hope you have a good rest of the show and enjoying the respite from the weather. Thank you.